All right, guys. Well, welcome. This is another MotoQuest webinar. This one's going to be on Japan. We're super excited about this one. We're really excited about these webinars in general, but particularly Japan. This is a destination that's near and dear to our hearts, particularly Phil's. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get going here. First of all, I want to say thank you all for being here. We're really excited about these webinars, and we appreciate you showing up. If you're viewing this on your phone on mobile, it'll be much more enjoyable for you if you put it into landscape modes, turn that phone sideways, and you'll be able to see the pictures a lot easier, and it'll be a much more enjoyable experience for you. We would also, I want to encourage you to ask us questions. You know, if you have a question, there's probably 5 or 6 other people watching this that also have that same question, right? As Phil goes through his presentation, he will naturally find stopping points where we will stop. It'll be a good natural stopping point in the presentation where we'll answer your questions. So if you throw a question out in the chat and we don't address it immediately, we're just waiting for one of those stopping points where we'll then, I'll throw all the questions out to Phil at that point. So. And if you do have questions, go and throw them in that little Q&A section down below, if you would, please. And without further ado, Mr. Freeman.
日本のスライドショーのプレゼンテーションへようこそ。私はフィリップ・フリーマンなんですけど、okay, let's go in English. Welcome to the Japanese presentation. I am excited about this. I lived in Japan 30 years ago as an English teacher for 2 years on the island of Hokkaido, and I started riding motorcycles there, and it changed my life. And I ended up meeting these characters along the way, and now we're running tours around the world and we're renting motorcycles, and it's just definitely Japan has changed my life, and I just feel thrilled anytime that MotoQuest gets a chance to show people off the beaten track in Japan. And we not only do I do tours there, we have a few really knowledgeable guides who have lived in Japan who represent us well over there, and we offer actually 3 different itineraries, and we want to bring one on in the future, and we're going to go through all of that. First of all, I want to start with a quote. I always do, and I love this quote. Whether life is short or long, all we have is the present, and all that matters is what we do in it. And you're all here because you want to go traveling. And I I want to talk to you a little bit about this presentation in that it's very photo rich. There's many photos, so there's going to be some times where you're sitting back just looking at photos go by. I will comment on some, but not many of them. You can even start your favorite music maybe during these segments. I'm going to cover 10 different chapters is what I'm calling them. And one of them is going to focus on motorcycle travel in Japan and motorcycle culture. Another one is going to be food. Another one's going to be hotel, dining, and baths. Another one will be who you will meet in Japan. Another one will be only in Japan. And then I'm going to go run through briefly our tours there. One on Hokkaido, one on the 3-island tour itinerary, and another one on Shikoku. And then I'm going to talk about what we're looking forward to in the future in terms of an Alps and Islands trip, and also the granddaddy of them all, which is a once-in-a-lifetime trip that we're going to run in September from tip to tail, and I will talk about that later. Now, at the end of every segment, I'm going to stop and answer questions. So you can get all your questions in at the dialog box at the bottom. And then Brendan and Dax can help shuffle those questions to me, and I'm happy to answer them. So I will stop and pause and answer questions through each chapter. And if you still have a lingering question that doesn't pertain to the next chapter, it's okay. This is all about just getting information out and learning about Japan. And I'm really proud to take you around Japan today. So let's go. If you don't have your passport, that's okay. Grab your cup of coffee. And then what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'll spend 3 to 4 seconds on each photo in each segment, and then I will pause so that I can answer your questions. First of all, about Japan, 14,125 islands. And it goes all the way from basically the latitude of Oregon to the very southern tip of Baja, Mexico. It has many different climates. It's extremely rugged and mountainous. Each region has its own specialty in that it's different from the others. It changes. It's like a harmonica of climates all the way up and down, as it's mostly north south running. And once you get out of the population corridors, you're going to see some things that are just actually, just from terms of natural scenery, really, really beautiful, very rugged. The roads are excellent, and the people are super friendly. The further you get off of the grid, the less English you're going to see spoken. And it is very unique country, and we wholeheartedly want to show you a really good time over there. So, with no further ado, I just want to take you down a little lane, and I have named this chapter Japanese motorcycle culture and Japan motorcycle uh, travel culture. So these are little tidbits of what you're going to see when you're in Japan and other Japanese traveling around Japan, and there are quite a lot. This is a motorcycle culture, no doubt. Here we go. Is that enough luggage on the back there? Here's a cool collection that we will be seeing on our 3 island tour. Now that's a classic Goldwing. Who doesn't want to spend a couple weeks on that? We are going to visit Mr. Nakano's restoration boutique shop on our 3 island tour. It's a real treat. Is there any way to balance more on one point? This is a Hokkaido touring rider. And then on any given Sunday, you're going to see all sorts of different types of bikes everywhere and anywhere. Real fun. This guy's going from Kyushu to Hokkaido. Tip to tail, baby. This is Japan's the only place I've seen mopeds ride with Harleys in nature. And how about a snow bike in Hokkaido? Basically the most practical motorcycle. And that is how you load your bike when you're going to go around. Why not? Okay, that's segment number 1. We're going to move on to food. If there's any questions permeating through, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, we got a couple of questions in the chat here, Phil, mostly pertaining to the webinar, not necessarily Japan. Amar asked, are we on mute by default? Amar, I can answer this one. Yes, just due to the size of the group here, everybody is muted. If you have questions, throw them in this Q&A just like you did, and we'll answer them. Also have a question from Tim. Will the recording be available later if we want to go back and refresh it out of our memory? Yes, absolutely. We are recording all the webinars. We will put them on our YouTube channel, and we'll send out a link to anybody that wants this. So this will be available going forward on the internet. And that's all we got for now, Phil.
Okay, great. Okay, moving on. There's nothing like travel, there's nothing like riding, but there's nothing like food. So let's go through a little bit of food. This is a pretty large section, so put on the music of choice. And here we go. Get ready. And some of these pictures are not for everyone, but some of these are for some people 110%. And ice cream, well, that's a good lead. All food is included in any of our tours except for lunch. We even do a barbecue night on our 3 island itinerary. And sometimes we do snack lunches. We'll just pick out a place and sit and Watch the scenery. You don't have to have a hot dog. That is okonomiyaki, a specialty of Hiroshima, aka squid pancake. Here's a breakfast of champions. That soup is corn soup. You'll find a lot of dishes. That's a shabu shabu platter. So you will be cooking those in rolling hot water. A little bit of soba and chicken nuggets, Japanese style. That's a typical dinner. You'll see up to 20 dishes just served. You don't have to ask what you're going to get. It just arrives in front of you. And it does spoil you. Another lunch, picnic lunch. Scallop ramen. If you're a vegetarian, have no fear. We can find something for you to work around. We like to try to hit all the food groups. So one night's beef, one night's fish, etc. Over the years, we've found some cool hole in the wall places for lunch. We've also found some really nice places for picnic lunches. Some good ramen. It's another shot of our barbecue night. It's a shabu shabu night. The snacks are always interesting. Breaded pork cutlet on a bed of rice. Yum, yum. Katsudon. A lot of times the dinners will come with a little bit of protein. And you cook it yourself on a little self sterno grill. Drinks are usually beer, sake, and that's about it. Red wine and white wine are hard to find. You can find them, but they may not be the quality that you like. But you're always going to find draft beer and sake. Generally, when you sit down to the meal, they start the sterno and you start cooking stuff in that little pot there. Some of the travel lodges we stay at, they'll set up a banquet like this. Shabu shabu night with beef. Yum. These crabs, they're not for everyone. They're kind of sweet. You gotta love okonomiyaki. I always joke about it that you're gonna have squid pancake, and I get made fun of, but people end up liking it. Here's a good example of one of those little sterno grills, and they'll just fire it up and cook it how you like it, right in front of yourself. There's all sorts of stuff you've never seen back home. Squid on a stick? Why not? Breaded pork cutlet with curry and rice. Comfort food. All right, let's make a pause. I just took you through food. You may or may not be hungry. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Oh man, questions came in thick on that segment. People are fired up about the food. Paul had a good question here, not necessarily related to food. What is the rough ratio of riding time versus walking around? Are you zooming around on bikes all day, or do you get to stop and enjoy the sights?
Okay, well, we have different types. Like the Hokkaido trip is really a rider's ride, but it's an explorer style. So we have free days every other day. So you have a whole day to do off the bike or on the bike loop, or you can do off the bike. For our three island, for example, that's designed more to be off the bike and on the bike. So we're leaving at 9, we're getting in at 4 at the hotel, we're stopping once an hour. And then we do have places that we've been going to for years, like old shrines and also visiting an old BMW restoration. So you have more time off the bike for that. Shikoku would be more of a rider's ride, but we do stop and check out some temples and other delights too. So I don't know if I'm answering it very well, but you can, some days are thicker with free time off the bike than others. And if you choose an explorer style trip with us, you're going to have a free day every other day. So you can opt to not go on the ride of the day because I'm going to go riding every day, or one of our guides will. And there is an 11 passenger van at your service, and our driver will take you wherever you want to go, especially if there's something cool and cultural nearby. So a lot of options there.
Awesome. Okay. Bob is asking, is sake best served hot or cold?
Boy, that's the biggest question in the world. It depends. Some people like it hot, some like it cold. I feel that it goes down easier if it's hot, but if it's 85 degrees out, it seems like cold sake. And if you ask for dry, then it'll go down a little smoother. They do have a sweet side if you like that, but that's the sake triangle right there.
Nice. Okay. Got another. I think it's a follow up question from Paul. He asked, what kind of pace is the riding? Is it a pretty leisurely pace, or are we, zooming around? Could you speak to that a little bit?
This is a good question. So, generally, when we're going point to point, we stayed together as a group. It is really difficult to navigate the highways and also the country roads if you split up. There's so many ways to get from point to point. On an explorer tour, if we have a free day, you can ride on your own. But the pace is not going to be very high, in that the speed limit is literally 38 miles an hour for most side roads. And we know where to go, where the riders go ride, and you can ride a little bit more at a fun pace. However, don't expect to be ripping it up. And especially, you got to be careful because if you do get caught speeding, it's a real bummer. You're going to have to pay in cash, and it might be a hassle. So we try to keep it a little watered down. So on of all the tours that we offer, this one's probably the most structured. I hope that helps.
Nice. Okay. Amar had another question. You mentioned if you're vegetarian, he doesn't eat beef, so he could be accommodated, with veggie options for most meals. Is that correct?
Yeah, no problem. You just need to let us know ahead of time, and we'll get with all the hotels, and they will supply a vegetarian option. And also, you'll learn to navigate during lunch which way you can go to try to keep meat out of your diet. And that happens all the time. We accommodate vegetarians all the time.
Okay. And then Amar had one more question, if drinks are included. So maybe you could just speak more broadly to what is included with the tour and what is not.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So food is included, but if you're drinking alcohol, we do not pay for that because we know that motorcycle riders can actually put our business under with their appetite. So if you want to drink on your own, that's no problem. And they'll keep a bill for you and you pay it, as you go at each hotel. And no problem there. So the alcohol is not part of the package. The toll roads, the guide on the bike, the 11 passenger van, the hotel, the bike rental, and all breakfasts and all dinners are included. All ferry crossings are included in the package.
Nice. Okay. Tim had a question about group size. How many riders in your group maximum? Do you have a van to carry luggage, or do they carry their own on the bike?
Yeah, okay, so you're going to be able to carry your daily stuff on the bike. Most of the bikes are going to come with a top case. It's case by case, but mostly they'll have a top case for your daily stuff. We have that 11 passenger van. You can put all your luggage in that. The 11 passenger van is supposed to go from one point to another, but keep in mind if there's an emergency or something, that van will not be with the group. So you keep your real important stuff with you on the bike. What was the first part of that question? I think I missed it.
Just group size.
Oh, group size. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Group size is anywhere from 8 people to 12 motorcycles. We do not take more than 12 motorcycles on any of our trips. We've learned over the years that Japan works better with a group that's a little bit more manageable, and that is reflected in our service.
Nice. Okay. Paul had a question here. Can you comment on the differences of our tour group from versus, maybe some other companies that are touring in Japan? What's like the secret sauce that makes these Moto Quest trips unique versus maybe another touring company?
Okay, well, I would say that we've been at it a long time. We are affiliated with several clubs who have curated uh, the riders' roads in that we're avoiding as much toll roads or highways as possible. And it's taken us years to find these roads and also to work with these BMW touring clubs that I'm personally affiliated with. So over the years, we've handpicked these routes in order to reflect the best riding, and on top of that, the more unique places to stay that a casual traveler would not find. We try to stay away from hotel chains when and if we can, and we also like to mix it up in that we stay at traditional travel lodges that are ryokans, and also we will stay at other places that are, they kind of balance out like cabins or hotels that are known for their hot springs. We want you to have the full experience, and some of these places you simply can't find on the internet. Um, we know by word of mouth or this network of riders has given us tips. You got to go here for the food. You got to go here for the hot springs. You got to go here for, these are off the beaten path 100%. And I would say that with that base of knowledge, especially since we're collaborating with locals on the ground that have been there all their life and ridden all their life, that they all okie dokied all of our itinerary based on, food, writing, and true Japan experience. And we've been at it a generation. So you're going to get that type of knowledge when you come with us.
Awesome. Okay. James asked about the group size, which we already covered, but he also asked about, are there many, people that ride two up, husband and wife, couples, stuff like that?
All the time. In fact, we half of our groups are riding two up, and we can accommodate you. We make sure that the passenger has a backrest. It could be in a way of like a top box, but we want to make sure the passenger is nice and comfortable. And we take a great care to try to fit you with a motorcycle that you feel comfortable with. And like that Three Island Tour is our number one couple trip. It just it is. It's safe. Japan in general is safe. It also has a lot of off the bike activities that are truly Japanese and cultural. So it has a nice ebb and flow to it. And we've been getting feedback that from couples that that's their favorite trip so far.
Awesome. Okay. John had a question about, for a long duration tour like this, let's say you're on the bike for 2 weeks or more, how much riding gear do you recommend so they don't under or overpack? And then maybe you could just speak a little bit more about, what kind of temperatures and weather you could expect riding in Japan.
No, that's a good question. Well, Japan is green for a reason, and it can get typhoons anytime, especially in the fall and in the late spring. You can get them. So plan for rain for 2 days a week, and you may not be disappointed. And then, temperature wise, anywhere from 65 to 85. Usually around 65 to 75 is where your breadbasket is in terms of temperature, and that's what you plan on. Layers are good, and we're on top of the weather every day. So if you have extra layers, which I encourage you to bring, you can you can store them in the van. The one thing I want to talk about packing for Japan on one of our trips is that you're going to be outfitted at your hotel with a yukata almost all nights. And what that means is it's a gown, and you can wear it to dinner and you can wear it to the spas. And so people, the first year we were doing this, everyone's bringing all these different outfits for dinner, and they're used to going to Europe. And then the feedback was, why are we bringing all these clothes when actually they already have clothes for us when we get to our hotel room, and we use those. So I say double down on the underwear. If you have big feet, bring indoor style slippers that fit you. And there you go.
Awesome. Okay, we got Joe here asking for his wife. She rides a factory lowered 750 with the low seat. Can we get a similar bike for her in Japan?
No issue at all. Japan is actually very good at finding low seated motorcycles. We have literally been able to fit everybody.
Okay, perfect. Paul asking if we arrive several days early or stay several days afterwards, can we help him with accommodations?
Yeah, no problem. And we'll put you in direct contact with our staff, and we can reel you in and give you good ideas as to where to go, where to stay. No problem.
Okay, perfect. And then I got Bob in the chat asking, sounds like he has a Washington State motorcycle license. Will that be sufficient for the trip?
Negative. You need it, but what you really need to do as a North American or a European, but there are some countries out there that Japan does not allow. Uh, some nationalities simply cannot ride there, and it's a 1949 Geneva Convention agreement, and it affects some South American countries and some Asian countries like Russia. And we want to accommodate them, but we just can't. They can't ride there. You must have a international driver's license from North America, for example. And in order to get it, you got to go to a AAA and spend $25 and 25 minutes and get your photo, and you must have it in order to ride there. It's not hard to get. but you have to have it in order to ride there. This is the strictest country to ride in terms of motorcycle license that we offer.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a good question. We have a Mr. Kevin Haggerty in the chat asking if he can ship his gear ahead of time.
That's a good question, Haggerty. What you can do, you can, and we have done it before, but it's pretty dang expensive, and you need to plan way ahead. And we can send it home too, and but it's not cheap, but we can do it.
Okay, awesome. Tyler asks for the Explorer series, are these good for couples with a non-motorcycle riding spouse? Can his
Uh,
spouse go in the van on ride days or non-ride days?
Tyler, that's why we decided to do Explorer tours. If you look at our itinerary or the new ones that are coming through with MotoQuest, they're all mostly Explorer tours because we do want to cater to the non-rider. We do want to have that van and that local knowledge available, ready to take you to somewhere that you would never ever find, that would put you deep in the culture, that you'd have a true experience. It's more than just the motorcycle. And we want to make sure that you know that. And we've had non-riding partners show up and stay in the van, and they're driving with a local, and they learn so much about the culture. They're able to go to places during those free days, so we can divide and conquer. They can go to a shrine, and then the riders can go down the coast and meet back at dinner and talk about what you did. And I think that's the beauty of those Explorer stops.
Awesome. Okay, got just a couple more questions here and then we'll get going again. Generally, is rain more like hitting rain cells or is it constant?
Oh, you can have both. I mean, it just depends. Japan, I mean, typhoon is a word for a reason. So if you get unlucky with the weather system, you can have days of rain, but usually it's like a 2, maybe 3 day front, and then usually it turns back into a 2 to 3, if not more, of clear, and then rinse and repeat. That's usually what happens.
Okay, and then we got this last question here from James asking about headsets on the motorcycles, Cardos, Sennas, that kind of thing. Do you use them? Is there a MotoQuest policy about this? What are we feeling there?
I say bring them. And I also say get them set up before we're about to ride because they can be a little bit tricky to connect. And those that bring them enjoy them. And so I say bring them.
Awesome. Okay, I think that's all the questions we got. Really good question, guys. Keep them coming, and we'll stop at the next section to answer them. Thank you,
Okay, you
Phil.
guys. Hopefully, this next section will prompt more questions, but this is going to focus on accommodations, hot springs, baths, which will be most nights, and also dining because dining is included, and you're going to see some images of what to expect when you're with us on a MotoQuest tour. Okay, so get your headsets ready with any music you'd like, and here we go into the 3 second parlay. Ready, set. The first thing you're going to see and get to know in any hotel is the toilet. Nice outdoor bath. They're split into male and female parts. So you got males on one side, females on the other. You're going to have tatami rooms many nights like this. When you walk in, there's not going to be any tatami there. They're going to roll it out while you're in having dinner. And some of the places we stay are they're really nice, set up for banquet dinners, exclusive. Some of the places we stay are simple and have shared bathrooms, but the reason is it's the food. That's what it looks like when you show up at one of your rooms, and then they'll bring the tatamis out for you. The pillows are made of dried beans, so you might want to bring your own pillow. Here's a good view of just off the deck on one of our Shikoku trips. So beautiful. Here's a Hokkaido photo. Love this lodge. Some of these places are going to be Western, some of them not so Western. You're overlooking a traditional castle, and you're in Tsuyama. Not bad. Sometimes we have to sit on the floor. It's not for everyone. We do have backrests sometimes, but sometimes that's all you have. And if you're wearing a yukata and you're sitting across from somebody, you might want to wear something underneath. Many of the places you have to have shoes off. Be aware every time you step up, you got to take your shoes off, and they're all ready to go at the next morning, all lined out for you. Some of our places, if you're lucky, you get your own hot springs. How cool is that? Here's one hotel where we overlook a city and a reservoir, and you have hot springs on the eighth floor of the building. Not all nights are tatami, but most nights will be. We'll have Western beds as well. How about a hot springs overlooking the Sea of Japan while the sun goes down? Not bad. Here's one with your own tub. I think you're getting the gist that Japan is heavily forested, and we're trying to find places that are out there in the nature. Here's a log cabin situation or a cabin situation we found on our 3 island tour. We love it. It's so remote, it doesn't have a restaurant. So we make our own barbecue. Here's a simple hot springs, naturally bubbling out of the earth. And we have taken over the entire hotel. It's just our group. Some of the showers won't be in the rooms. You need to go to the hot springs. So it definitely gets you through. You get to have that experience one way or another. Not all rooms come equipped with chief. Okay, that's that segment. Questions, please.
All right, we got a couple of good questions here. Paul was asking about the typhoons that you mentioned. Do you typically, if you encounter one when you're on the road, or is that a shelter in place situation, or are we riding on through it?
The worst one we ever had, Paul, it stopped the ferry system between 2 islands. So we had to hurry our schedule to go a day ahead to cross from one island to another. And then when the typhoon came in, it wasn't too horrible. It wasn't shelter in place. It just is that the ferries weren't working and it was sheets of rain. You could have ridden in it. It just wouldn't have been comfortable. And we opted to just all pile into the 11 passenger van and then go have an experience down at the local town, get some lunch, and then hit some hot springs. So we definitely made lemonade out of it.
Okay, and then we got one more question, man, and I think a lot of people probably have questions about this. A lot of foreigners I think have heard about the tattoo situation in Japan. Could you talk just a little bit about tattoos? If you have them, are you allowed in the communal hot springs and that kind of thing?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So having spent time there for 30 years ago to now, I've seen a trend where they're allowing tattoos more and more into the baths, and locals are getting more and more tattoos. Back in the day, it used to be that if you had a tattoo, you were part of the mafia. Now it's starting to trend. It's not like, it's not crazy, but there's a few people more than I've seen before. Some of the hot springs, they have a sign that says, please don't have them. Some, maybe about 10%. The rest are okay with it. And then many times we'll get into a hotel and we can book private hot springs for you. And if you're traveling with a partner, that other person, and you can have your own hot springs to yourself. It doesn't matter what you have tattooed on your body. And that is an option that's at about 40% of the places that we stay. So that actually alleviates quite a bit. I wouldn't worry about it too much. And depending on the trip you're going to and where we're staying, I can give you a heads up ahead of time which ones you can expect that you may not be able to take a hot springs at. But by and large, I would not worry about it.
On that note, David is asking if they all get MotoQuest tattoos while they're on tour.
Of course, everyone has a tattoo. We do it on the backside of our tongue. No, well, we'll talk about it. Maybe over a sake.
There you go. That sounds like a good idea. Tim is asking if they get to see any temples while they're on the tour. Do they get to see any kind of ceremonies?
Yeah, we there are Shinto shrines and Buddhist temples, and they are scattered all over. And I love to stop at one or two on each trip just to go up there and just take it in, both kinds. And also, we'll teach you, the liturgy of prayer there, and you can kind of just feel the atmosphere there. And I think it would be sad not to go to Japan and not to go to a temple or shrine. So we make sure that you go to both before you're done with us on a trip.
Awesome. And then Tim had one follow-up question after that. Which tour is the best for the twisty and fun riding? And then which is best for a more of a sightseeing experience?
Oh, okay. Well, I my favorite Shikoku. That's got the best roads, best food, and actually it's the most remote in many ways, and it's got the deepest history. It's got all those things. It's a very beautiful cross point of all those. So Shikoku is my favorite. If you want to do our most popular trip and the one that has the most experiences and variety is our sampler platter, which is our 3 island itinerary that incorporates Honshu, Kyushu, and Shikoku. That one's wonderful. It's winning. And then if you're a rider and you like to ride all day and you want to ride and you're going to have it's Sweepers 404 with no traffic most of the days. That's Hokkaido. If you want to, and they don't have the history up there that you're going to see down on the other main islands, but what you're going to see is the natural splendor because it's just more wide open wilderness. And it is riding like decent long days of ride, ride, ride.
Awesome. Okay. Ed had a question about the hot springs, if they are nude only, or if you could wear a bathing suit if you're more comfortable with that.
No bathing suit. In fact, we hand you out a link and it has a video about how to take one. And I do go through it in the orientation, and you're expected to know the liturgy of how the do's and don'ts of taking a bath. It is a little bit, it's very cultural, and it's a very important part of the Japanese social binding, and the mechanism of their whole culture is actually revolving around that. Um, and it's where everybody is on the same playing field, but they do divide it into men and women. Um, like I said, some hotels you can get your own private hot springs, which is nice. And there's also a liturgy to what kind of towel you bring in. Um, if it touches the water or not. I'm not going to go into all the details, but yes, uh, no on the swimsuits, and yes on you will be bathing.
Awesome. Okay. And then, John, this is the last question I'm seeing here, and we can get rolling again here. John asked, how do you normally keep a large group together so the group does not get disconnected at stoplights, turns, going through towns, that kind of thing?
That's a good question. We do the buddy system. There's a couple buddy systems out there. The one that we do is the one where everything is always straight. If there's a turn and you don't see your buddy behind you, you wait at a safe place, and then you get acknowledgement from that rider coming up, and it's the bump system. Once that rider approaches, the first rider takes off, and that rider's responsibility is the buddy behind them. And believe it or not, when it works, you can go through Tokyo, and I have with a large group. When it doesn't work, you spend a few minutes and sometimes more to try to find or collect everybody. But we go over the buddy system every day, and the traffic is relatively slow and pretty straightforward. And the places that our guides will pause are places where more likely than not, maybe somebody interpreted the buddy system wrong. So we make sure we collect everybody through the day. It's not really an issue. And actually, by the end of the week, everyone's just pretty good at it.
Awesome. Okay. And that's all the questions you got for now. Thank you, Phil.
Okay, these are this is a collection of just faces that you will see on a trip in a MotoQuest trip in Japan. It'll be not only your riding companions, but also faces along the way. So get ready. Here we go. Who will you meet in Japan? Is what I named this one. We always have a map time every morning. This is a festival in Sapporo. It's always nice to have an after ride cocktail and talk about the day. That's a shot of Hokkaido. This is the Three Island Tour, and the hotel staff always says goodbye from this hotel. Choose your friends wisely. That's a Scarecrow Village in Shikoku. I think that's our first trip almost 20 years ago. That's a foot bath in Hokkaido. You just walk in, it's public, open, and you just heat your feet up. Natural thermal hot springs. There's one hotel on our Three Island tour that our driver Chie, she'll take you back, the females, and get them all dolled up for dinner. Karaoke has been known to happen. I met Spider-Man on vacation. Yep, that's a volcano in the background there. Riding along the coast in Hokkaido. A foot bath after a long day of riding. We used to do a MotoGP trip. We can in the future with a custom trip, but pretty spectacular. Okay, end of that segment. Any questions?
Okay, yeah, we got a couple in the chat here. Rob is asking, is tipping customary in Japan?
Well, I will answer that the price that you see at a restaurant is the price that you get. They do not expect to get tipped. Taxi drivers don't expect to get tipped. Uh, you know, as for MotoQuest staff, if you like their service, they will accept a tip. But generally, tips are the price is what you see is what you get.
Okay, and then we got Tim asking, how much would how much would a MotoQuest customer interface with locals for conversation, etc.?
Um, it depends on the trip, but what I'm trying to do is design it so that you get as much interaction as possible. Um, and you're gonna, especially when you get off the beaten track. I'm trying to pull up this photo again. Um, you're gonna have as much interaction as you hope.
Hmm.
I've been telling people to bring Google Translate, and that really helps with just being able to interact because you can talk into it and it'll talk out for you, and you don't have to learn the entire language of Japanese in order to really make a connection. And that's really what's key about travel, I feel. So you're going to have a lot of chance. It depends on how social butterfly you are.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And then Tim asked, is there a time of year where the weather is better for riding or worse for riding? A time of year where there's less rain.
Yeah, we find that it depends on the region, but for example, you know, that cherry blossom tour, the Three Island tour in the spring or the fall, that is more geared towards the flowers and the leaves. So that is, you're going to have weather during those times. Uh, we moved our Hokkaido trip to the first week of June because statistically it's less rain. And the Shikoku one is in May by design. It's usually really good weather, usually. So, but if you start getting into the fall, you can run into some rain. Um, just have to be a little bit lucky.
Sure. Bill's asking about credit cards. Are they accepted for gas, lunch, that kind of thing, or should we be carrying a local currency with us?
Um, Local currency, yeah, they don't accept the U.S. dollar, so you can use credit cards and debit cards most places with no issues. There are some places that are just cash only, and you can get cash at any 7-Eleven, and it's almost impossible not to see a 7-Eleven from where you're standing in Japan.
Okay. Paul asking if you could clarify, did he hear correctly that the Three Island Tour would allow for non-riders to tag along? What
Oh,
would their experience be like?
absolutely. That's a great itinerary. We've had passengers only on that trip many times, and they had a great time. There's plenty of off the bike things to see. It's definitely geared towards the motorcycle culture because we go to a BMW vintage shop and we also go to the Iwashita motorcycle collection, which is spectacular in terms of a collection. But there's enough that's off the bike, and it's always a variety of things in terms of history and also natural beauty. The passenger will be enthralled. It's a great way to get off the beaten track. We don't see very many foreigners where we're going.
Awesome. Okay, and then James is asking, how much do people typically tip the MotoQuest people per day or per trip?
It's a good question. I get that a lot, and basically, personally, I've only been at this for 26 years. I've been tipped $5, and I've been tipped something that had the value of $7,000. So somewhere in between there. But generally, if you like what you see, the rule of thumb is anywhere from $100 to $500 seems to be very adequate. If you really like what they're doing, I've seen more, and I've also there's certain cultures that simply don't tip, so and that's okay too. We're here just to show you a good time, but anywhere from $100 to $500 seems to be adequate per staff person.
Okay, and then Ken's asking, will we post the link of the YouTube recording of this webinar to the MotoQuest website?
We're gonna have it on the tail end of every newsletter. You can find it, no problem. And you can also you're gonna find it just by Google search because it'll be cataloged in YouTube.
Got it. Okay. Tim asking, do we have a webinar or video that explains the differences between our various tours?
Well, actually, hold on. That's coming up soon.
Awesome. Okay, and then last question here from Paul. Uh, so would we meet up at some point with non-riders, or are they doing their own thing? I think he's referring to somebody riding in the van.
The van is scheduled to stay with the group the entire time. So every stop, you'll be seeing that person. However, the caveat is that van, the prime directive of that van is to help in case there's an emergency or something else. So there may be a side adventure for that van. But if it's just runs by the numbers, that that van and the passengers are going to show up at every stop.
Perfect, and that's all we got.
Okay, this next section is kind of fun. This is the last long section, and then I'm going to go into the differences of the tours we offer, and they're very much shorter. But this one I had to put in here because it's distinctly Japan. I named it Only in Japan. Okay, well, that That might be me when I was doing karaoke. That's all. How about an angry melon? Those are the kind of roads you're going to run into. Some of them are really narrow, especially on the southern three islands, and they climb and descend a lot. I'm going to take you to if you join on a Shikoku trip, I'll take you to the Scarecrow town. The people are disappearing and being replaced by dolls. And there's a chance to go to one of the most celebrated gardens in Okayama, which is where we base two of our tours out of. On many of our tours, we take ferries, except for the Hokkaido one, and you'll have a chance to load and unload between islands and have a little bit of that experience. You're going to run into this a lot, so you can remember the icons, and some of them raise eyebrows and some of them don't. Here's a Buddhist temple. This is on Shikoku. There is an 88 temple pilgrimage that goes on all the time, and you will see the pilgrims walking from one to another. This is the first one of the 88. It's always fun to do a little bit of time in a city. You're going to see a lot of out of the ordinary stuff. And who doesn't want one of these at home? I think the randomness of Japan is one of the things that most appeals. You just never know what you're going to run into that's really cute and out of the ordinary. Cherry blossom season only lasts for about a week or 10 days, and riding during that season is a treasure. It happens at the end of March, the start of April. Maybe you even get a chance to ride one of the high speed trains, and they clock at just around 188 miles an hour. Here's a coastal shot of Hokkaido. All riders in Japan go to Hokkaido because it's known for its wide open roads. This is Hokkaido as well, so you got a little Yosemite in there. Fall colors, that'd be in October. A little bit more of a foot bath opportunity. Evil spirits can only go in a straight arc, so they make the bridge crooked so evil spirits cannot cross. Here's a nice little wine glass beach that we know about where you can unwind from your day of riding. Another ferry jump from one island to another. And then there's signs like this that just make you giggle. Here's a nice shot of a Kan National Park in Hokkaido. I lived on Hokkaido. I know it really, really well. Who doesn't want to buy one of these guys for $100? Come on. Then there's little hidden gems and little walks here and there, off the bike kind of stuff you can do on explorer style tours. All these tours you can make custom and just bring your own group. Here's a gang making mochi, so they're pounding rice into sort of a doughy creation. That's a Hokkaido shot. It's known for its space. It's got 20% of the land of Japan and 5% of the population. Here's a tea ceremony. If you're into doing that, I happen to know that our driver Chie, actually, she is licensed to teach almost. So that's a Hokkaido coastal shot. Who doesn't want to take a little car out for a spin? And then there's this head shaker. Why? And then we used to do the MotoGP, and we can in the future. Pretty fun stuff. It's a nice road along the lake, one of the lakes in Hokkaido. Make sure to put those slippers on when you're in the toilet. They have toilet specific slippers. Make sure you don't have them when you walk in back into the main dining hall. They'll catch you. It's one of my favorite little shrines, way up in the mountains on Kyushu. It's a Hokkaido fox. I think you're getting to just that Japan is very rugged and the coastal riding is unbelievable. This has been around for over 1,000 years. It's a deer on Hokkaido. They have a lot of them. They have these tunnels in Hokkaido and they make them like this so for snow wind drifts. Cherry Blossom Festival. This is Okayama City. And you can do a sojourn down to Hiroshima out of Okayama as a day trip. We can line you out with all the information. And this is Hokkaido walking along the fumaroles of Akan. This is Iyo Mountain. We see this one before. It's a BMW restoration shop we stop at, my buddy, Mr. Nakano. Always working on something. Cherry blossoms in full bloom. There's quite a buzz going on in Japan during this time. This is a good example of Shikoku. The vine bridge that you can cross on Shikoku. And this is also Shikoku. Lots of rivers like this. This is on Kyushu. And the roads are they're beautiful. They're well engineered. You can trust every corner. This is Hokkaido, and this section of Hokkaido is known for its horse racing. Here's some coastal riding in Shikoku, right through these little villages, these little fishing villages. So you're either riding along the coast or in the mountains. And there's little shrines here and there. The picnic lunch in Hokkaido, a steaming volcano in Hokkaido. This ferry goes between Kyushu and Shikoku. And here's some coastal loveliness in Hokkaido. Some MotoGP action. Literally on Hokkaido, you can go for 20 miles, see nobody, and come to an intersection with no buildings. It's unheard of on the southern islands. That's a Hokkaido shot. It's actually near the town I used to live. You can see how wide those roads are. Some of them, that's on Shikoku. Snow melt on Hokkaido in June. That's Mr. Harada. Without him, we wouldn't have a program there. He helped us develop all of the trips. That's a Hokkaido shot. It's over by. There's a 900-year-old cedar, and it was planted when they put in the Shinto shrine on Kyushu. Those are the open roads of Hokkaido. You're just never going to see anything like that in the country of Japan, and that's why riders flock there. Here's going into a toll road situation. We outfit all of the motorcycles with a card reader, and so you just go right through the gate. We offer that 3 island tour in the fall as well, so you get to see some of that fall colors. And here's that famous Black Castle Garden in Okayama on Honshu, where we stage 2 of our tours. That's the Golden Road that goes out to Cape Arimo on Hokkaido. Man versus nature. Here's a little Shinto shrine tucked into the forest on Hokkaido. And here is the mother of all Shinto shrines on Honshu. We go there on our 3 island tour. Here's the bridge between Kyushu and Honshu. We stop here for lunch to check it out. And our support in Japan is great. If something happens with the bike, they'll rescue us. There's a coastal road on Shikoku. Imagine doing that all day. And this is a good shot of Hokkaido. We're in cow country there. And this is Nakano's restoration shop. They have coffee put out for us, and we can walk around and check it out. And then periodically we'll come across a bridge like this and we'll stop and walk out on it. This is on Shikoku. And how well dressed is that gasoline station attendant? That's a Hokkaido day. On a good day, there's nothing like it. There's roads there that they just don't have back in the States. That's a one-off Apollo Ducati. There's only one in the world. We're going to go see it on our 3-island tour. That's Chie in our 11-passenger van, just making sure everything runs. And I have plenty of photos from this, but this Scarecrow Village is one of a kind in Shikoku. It's a world of slippers. Outdoor slippers, indoor slippers, toilet slippers. There's your fox in Hokkaido. We crossed the Seitohashi Bridge, which in its day was the largest suspension bridge in the world between Honshu and Shikoku. That's during our 3-island tour and our Shikoku Explorer. This is Shikoku. Shikoku. Crossing over to Shikoku from Honshu. The Black Castle Gardens of Okayama. This is a fishing shrine that we stop at for a picnic lunch on the 3-island tour. Little fishing village we stop and stay in, known for its food. Wonderful little side roads. This one's on Kyushu. There's some lovely side roads where time is forgotten. They've put in new roads so they don't get the traffic, but you still have the scenery. This is on Shikoku. This is that fishing shrine again. Fisherman's. Hokkaido shot. That's that Ducati again. Something else. This is along one of the volcanic lakes in Hokkaido. Don't do that to the devil. Okay, that's the longest section. We're winding down. We're going to go over some maps. We could answer some questions now. And then we're going to move on to the three different tours that we offer. And I only have about 10 photos for each one. And I will stop at the end of each one and you can ask questions about each trip. I can say that for all the trips that we offer, we're targeting a variety of hotels. You're going to have uh, genuine, great food, dinner and breakfast. You're going to have a range of tatami, like rooms, traditional Japanese rooms, and you're also going to have Western rooms. Um, you're also going to have great roads, uh, and that will be the order of the day. But all of the tours are going to run about the same for hotels and hot springs experiences. Uh, but this one is Hokkaido. It's the northern island. I lived on this island for 2 years. I've ridden all over it, and these are some of the points that you will see on our Hokkaido Explorer. And we run this one um, on the first week of June. Are there any questions to this point?
Hey, yeah, we got I don't know about a dozen questions in the chat here before we move on to the specific tours.
Okay.
First one I got here is from John. He is asking, what kind of skill or riding experience level do you recommend for your tours?
That's hard to judge in that some people are athletic, some people are like bicyclists, skiers. So that's hard to determine. I would say that if you have been riding, we've had novices on our trips before and had no issues. And we've had people that grew up on motorcycles. But I would say that if you're new to motorcycling, take one of those weekend courses, especially an off-road one, and just learn your motorcycle, and you'll be fine. In Japan, it's not, I would say, that technical. Hokkaido is more of a rider's ride than the other trips that we offer. So, uh, you know, it's just going to be longer distances every day. I would say that you should go out and ride and get used to riding several hours each day, day in and day out, and just kind of get used to that. See if that's something you want to do. But
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I would just say, if you have anxieties about that, give us a call. We're always happy to dive a little deeper into your experience level and just kind of go over the realities of any trip that you're interested in and let you know if that would be an appropriate trip for you. We're always happy to hop on the phone and have a conversation with you about that.
yeah.
This kind of tacks onto that last question. This one's from Paul. For those of us that live and ride mostly in flat, wide areas, as a rider, you should be comfortable, obviously, riding twisty, narrow roads and then practice riding before you show up. Would you have any other tips for somebody that maybe doesn't have access to a lot of twisty, technical roads at home?
Yeah, that one the twisty roads that we're doing do elevation changes, but it's very low velocity. So, sharp turns, gosh, if you live in an area, that doesn't have that, we've really never had any issue with people adapting to these roads because they're so low velocity. So I don't feel like that won't be a deal breaker. But of course, getting out on the road and getting into that rhythm um, helps you prepare for this trip, especially since you'll be out in the elements.
Yeah, absolutely. I got Bill here asking if you recommend GPS or smartphone maps for navigation assistance while you're on tour.
Yeah, what we do at MotoQuest is you bring your own GPS, we'll hook it up for you, and we'll share the waypoints with you. But most people don't do that. But you can also bring a phone cradle, one that holds on really well to the phone, and we'll share with you all the waypoints that we're working off of with Google Maps. And every day in the morning, you're going to get we create a WhatsApp group for each group, and we go over all the stops of the day that we're planning so that in case there's a miss or you can do a little bit of background check on the destinations while before breakfast. You can go over them and it'll give you an idea of what we're getting into every day. And I've noticed that more and more people are bringing their phones and just logging in what the next stop is so that they have that peace of mind. Now, I wouldn't go by the route that Google gives you because we're not doing that. Google doesn't really like to take the very best motorcycling roads. So, not necessarily are we getting there by the route that Google is prescribing. And I tell people, whoever's using a GPS, do not follow that. Go with the buddy system, and then we'll go from there. If you start thinking you're lost, all you have to do is call our support driver, and they'll come find you and get you where you need to go. But we're not going by Google or Jeep or Garmin. We're going by local knowledge and the best roads.
Nice. I got John here asking, how much room do you typically have in the back of the van? If somebody wanted to bring back a pile of souvenirs with them.
No problem. So I'm in passenger van. No issue there.
Perfect. Paul is asking, can you comment on medical insurance? Would our U.S. health insurance cover us? Do you recommend for, like emergency travel insurance? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. Have your own insurance dialed in and make sure that you're covered offshore. That's yours. That's your deal. However, we're going to enroll everybody in Global Rescue, which is an extraction service, and it's a no questions asked in case of an emergency to get you back to the best, closest medical help. And it will continue to get you all the way home. Now, you may need to do some paperwork in order to get that paid for, and you may need to pay out of pocket at first, but that global rescue is there for that. And we installed that over a decade ago, and we don't fiddle with that. In case there's an emergency and you're involved, we want to make sure that you're taken care of. We had people flown all the way back from Japan. We've had them flown back from South America at no cost to the rider.
Okay, awesome. And then I got Chris here asking, what is the one tour that you would recommend is the must-do riders tour? The absolute, you cannot miss this. You have to go on this one.
I'm going to say my favorite, Shikoku. That's the real Japan. It's the real historical Japan. It's the most scenic. Pound for pound, it's the best food. Uh, if you want more miles per day and you want to see more natural beauty, then you want to go to Hokkaido. If you have a one time you want to see a lot and see as much and experience as much as you want, not particularly a rider's ride, but there are really good days of riding, then you would go to the Three Island itinerary. So there are differences between all of them, but short answer is Shikoku.
Awesome. Okay. And then Tyler was asking, you had talked earlier about the, kind of the lower speed limits on some of these back roads in Japan. For those of us that might like to ride a little more aggressively, what is there a big, radar presence in Japan or speeding camera presence there? Are you going to get nailed by any of that if you're riding in Japan?
Man, they set up speed traps here and there, so that's like trying to guess how that cloud's going to form from a bunny rabbit to a banana. That's hard. And they're set up almost everywhere, not all the time, but when you least expect it, it seems like you do run into police. If you're going to speed, be careful. And Japan is particularly tough. And I've been riding there a long, long time, and I like to ride at a fair clip. But there are certain roads that you can feel that are riders' roads, and there are others that are not. There are national roads, and you do not ride fast. So it takes a little bit of being there. As for riding at a more fair clip, covering more distance, Hokkaido would be your best option. But here again, be careful. They don't fool around with speeders.
Yeah, copy that. Tim's asking, looks like they ride on the opposite side of the road from us. How long does it take to get used to that?
Two intersections.
Awesome. Okay. James is asking, what happens if your bike breaks down? Do you have another on standby?
Yeah, we'll get you another bike. We have good suppliers both on Hokkaido and down south, and we will find a way to get you back on a bike within the day. You may, the longest that's anyone's had to wait is maybe a full. Yeah, they'll get it to you the next day. We've never had an issue.
Awesome. Ken's asking, what type of insurance do you recommend? Travel, medical, motorcycle accident? What's a good idea to have before you head over there?
Well, any trip that you sign up with us, we recommend that you get in with a travel insurance just in case something goes sideways. That you're not on the hook for anything as we get close to the date. And really, I give you a recommendation, but I would really go with a Google search on that, and make sure that you go with one that's reputable. And as for medical, most people are going to be covered by medical insurance, but just check before you go abroad.
Yeah, always a good idea. James is asking, how long is a typical riding day?
Usually we start at 9 and we end at 4, and we have plenty of breaks like every hour. I hope that gives you an idea. Maybe 4 solid hours or 5. Sometimes we'll stretch it out. If we have a group that's really gung ho and they want to go to a certain place, we've been known to ride up to 7 hours. But usually it's about 4, 5 solid riding time.
Awesome. Okay. And then Paul here again looks like he took the initiative and was on our website looking at the bikes, and he noticed that they're all relatively small, about 400 cc's, give or take. So he's asking, is that going to be enough power, or is he going to be constantly, chasing the lead guide up front? Could you just maybe speak to the bike selection choices we have for Japan?
Yeah, I've done all these trips on 250cc and been able to ride at a comfortable pace. Most of these roads are quite narrow. They're European type miles. You're not going that fast. You don't really need that much of a punch. I've had a guy on a Goldwing and it was just overkill for some of those mountain roads. Um, and if a 1200 GS is fine. Just be aware that, especially on the southern islands, you're going to be in pretty narrow roads for many days and most of the day, and you're not really riding that hard. You're doing sharp turns and you're doing elevation and stuff. So those smaller displacement bikes, the only thing is on the toll roads, you'll be riding about 60 miles an hour, and all those bikes, they're competent to go 60 miles an hour. So we're not really going faster than that.
Copy that. Tim, this is the last question we got for right now, and then we can move on. Is asking, do you allow riders to break off and do their own thing for half a day or a day, or does the group always need to stay together all the time? What's that dynamic look like while you're on tour?
That's a really good question. The Three Island Tour is probably the most structured because we're going point to point. There is one particular day that we get in early, and usually the guide will do an extra ride and you can join him, or you can do your own thing. On those explorer tours, you can do your own thing. That's what it's designed for, and we'll line you out with points of interest and really good roads and good lunch spots. And then you can do your own thing. And if you have trouble or you get lost or whatever, you just give us a call and we'll reel you in.
Okay, awesome. That's all we got for now. Thanks, Phil.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go through some Hokkaido. This is the northern island. It's the wildest, and it's got the most open riding. It's Sweeper 404. This is just a few photos here. We're winding it down, everybody. This is Akan National Park. They have the largest national parks in the nation on Hokkaido. It's a latitude of Oregon, and you can see it's pretty spacious and not heavily populated. It's dotted with volcanoes. It's got lots of lakes and rivers, and it's just open country and really good riding. And you're going to see that there's a lot of riders from all over Hokkaido or all over the country that come there. They flock there to experience those roads. Lots of wildlife, lots of fox and deer. You'll see them every day, and lots of volcanic action going on. This one I particularly know very well. I lead it myself. It's the first 2 weeks of June, and it's billed as a rider's ride, and it's Explore style. So you have a free day baked in every other day. And I will lead a loop, and I'm always seeing new roads as well. But you don't have to join it. You could do your own thing or you could do something else. And it's got all of the amenities, good food, hot springs, etc. Is there any questions about Hokkaido? Because I'm going to move on to two other tours, and I'll answer questions on those same format as this.
Nothing for Hokkaido quite yet. So I'd say keep rolling, and then if some Hokkaido questions come in, we can answer them.
Okay, we're going to roll on. This is the three island route. We do it counterclockwise, and we start in Tsuyama, which is it's kind of it's a city that's not situated on really a main tourist thoroughfare, even though it has one of the most historic castles in Japan, and that's on the top northwest part of the of this map. And then we carry on and we go all the way around down into Kyushu. We cross over on a bridge and we check out Aso, uh, which is a large national park, a large caldera in a volcano area. And then we cross over to Shikoku by ferry. And then we basically just traverse Shikoku in a day. And then we cross back over via that Seto Hashi, which is that big suspension bridge. And then we're back um, in Tsuyama. And the thing is we run this for our cherry blossom tour, which is the start of April, and we have spots available this year from April 12th to April 22nd. And we also run this in the fall, and that is from October 25th to November 5th. And it's the same itinerary, it's just different times of year, and you're still seeing motorcycle collections. We're going to that uh, restoration BMW boutique shop on Kyushu, and you're getting it's a sampler platter. And if you want to do one and do it all, this is probably going to be your best bet to see the old and beautiful and natural Japan. And I got about 10 photos, and then I'll stop if you have any questions. You can go in the spring, and you can go in the fall. And there's some neat side roads here. We check out this shrine with this beautiful cedar, 900 years old. This is in Hita on Kyushu. This is our little beach place that we stay on Kyushu. This is on Honshu. This is the garden in Okayama that you can check out before or after the trip. And then a little bit of cherry blossom action there. How about a foot bath and a sunset? And that is Shikoku. And we end on Shikoku. The reason we do Shikoku now is because we would end on Shikoku on this trip and everybody would go, what about Shikoku? So those are the points of interest. And if there's any questions about this particular itinerary, I'm happy to answer.
Same thing. No specific questions about Shikoku. We can keep rolling.
Good. Good, good. We're going to roll. We're going to go on to Shikoku only. And this is an explorer style tour, so you're staying 2 nights at each place. And you cross over on the Naikai National Park, which is a series of islands, onto Shikoku. Shikoku didn't have a bridge there until I think late in the game, so it's been very rugged and very remote. It's got great roads, either coastal or mountainous. It's extremely rugged. There's not a lot of cities there. Um, cool bridges, pedestrian bridges to check out here and there. And then some of these roads, they don't get used much. So that's an example of a side road. And just striking rugged and forested landscapes. Cool little bridges. Here's kind of a roadside attraction. You can go across the Vine Bridge. And for me, that's Shikoku in a nutshell right there. So That's Shikoku. Any questions? No?
Awesome. All good on questions.
Oh, we're answered. Okay. So we're looking forward. I just wanted to show you an itinerary. This one is in the works for 2027, and it will be the Alps and Islands trip. And it's based basically on our MotoGP trip that we used to run, but we're not going to do the MotoGP. We're just going to enjoy the riding. So we're going to go up one coast into the mountains all the way up. We come in and out of Okayama, basically Tsuyama, and then we come back down through the islands and Wakayama and Shikoku. And you're going to see stuff like this. So keep an eye on it. It will be coming online soon. And we're going to check out the monkeys as well. Isn't that cute? And there's a series of ferries on the back end of it. Of course, we're going to check out Scarecrow Village. A lot of roads like this. That's good stuff. And that's Shikoku. I think we gave you an idea. Are there any questions that are popping up at all there?
Nope, no questions. I think everyone's questioned out.
I think so too. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this one. This is the tip to tail trip that we're going to do in September this year. It is a once in a lifetime trip. It's 40 days and 40 nights. It starts September 6th and it ends on October 16th. And it starts in the very northern part of Hokkaido and it goes all the way down to the very southern part of Kyushu. We already have a confirmed group. We're taking people that have ridden with us only before. We don't want any first timers, only that we want somebody to know our program. And the group's not going to be very big. And join us. And it's the tip to tail, so you could put that into Google and uh, find out more about it. I'm going to end this presentation. It ran a little further than I thought, but I think we got all the information out there and photos. So this one I like because every child in Japan wants to play rock, paper, scissors. And clearly I got crushed on that one. And it's just a very hospitable culture, very organized, very beautiful, and it's a one-off. There's no other culture like this, and I recommend that you do visit Japan, and you. I hope you can join us. Um, any last questions before we sign off? I'm happy to answer. And on the part of Dax and Brendan and MotoQuest, really glad that you guys shared time with us, and we hope to see you out there on the roads somewhere. But are there any last questions that you have, Dax, that are permeating in, or did we nail them all?
Really, I just got one question from Paul. He just asked about payment plan options for our tours.
That's funny because I was just thinking that. Um, if you register with us with a tour, we take $1,000 non-refundable deposit. Um, you can bail anytime before 60 days, but you could take that $1,000 and put it towards another adventure with us. After that, then there's skin in the game. Then we ask for the balance at 60 days prior, and we recommend everybody take out travel insurance just in case something goes sideways. But that 60-day mark is really where uh, you need to be committed for our trips, and that's when we're really going to go or no go. In case we cancel, we'll give you your deposit back, and that's how we do it.
Yeah, and you're also welcome to make partial payments towards the balance at any time, right? So you can, log in and make payments throughout time until that final balance is due at that 60-day mark.
Yeah, and you'll save a cool two two
That
percent if
is
you.
the only.
Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. Well, and then actually, Paul had one more question. Do we have any joint plans or partnerships with airlines?
We don't. We're good with motorcycles, but we can make recommendations as to how to get to each destination, but we don't have any deals with any airlines.
Yeah. Perfect. And I think that's all we got, guys. Thank you so much for everybody for coming. Like we said, this is going to be posted on our YouTube channel later on. So if you want to review this down the road for relevant information, this will be a free resource for you on our YouTube channel. Please check it out. And we're also going to be doing these webinars. We hope to do these about once a month going forward. So if you guys have destinations that you would like us to dive deep into, or different topics or how-tos or anything like that, we're very open to any ideas that you guys have for us. So let us know what you guys would like to see from us, and we might do a webinar on it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Dax. Thank you all that joined, and we hope to see you out there somewhere.